Hi, this is Jewel Diamond Taylor. I'm so glad that you are having a moment of time with me in a moment of clarity. You know, as a speaker, an author, a life coach, a wife, a mother, a sister friend, a founder of a ministry, I continue to grow. I continue to burst through and break through some erroneous thinking, false thinking, unrealistic expectations. And I get so excited when God gives me a moment of clarity to understand, to cope, and to endure and excel in this thing called life. It's an ongoing process, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to be not only a teacher, but to be a student of life. And I just want to share with you quickly something that has really brought me some peace and understanding about suffering. Suffering is a part of everyone's life. And I realize now in my hindsight, I was always trying to avoid the suffering, medicate the suffering, escape the suffering, rationalize the suffering, save others from their suffering. I wanted to blame, or I wanted to be the victim, or I wanted to play the role of I don't know what to do, or begin to think that I don't deserve it. I mean, just so many crazy things when it comes to suffering. And I began to realize the more and more I am counseling and coaching others, the more I am maturing in my faith, the more God continues to speak to me through my meditation, my prayers, my studying, my surrendering to circumstances. I'm really understanding the difference between having happiness and having joy. I realize that happiness is rooted in the word happening. That when the right things are happening, we tell ourselves, I can now be happy. When I get those shoes, I'll be happy. When I lose some weight, I'll be happy. When my husband says the right thing, I'll be happy. When the weather is right, I'll be happy. When I get the right speaking engagement with the right fee, then I'll be happy. I now know what it is to have joy. And joy is not predicated on conditions. Joy comes from a heart of gratitude. Joy says that no matter what I'm going through, no matter my circumstances, no matter the conditions, I've got joy. It's gratitude. It's being grateful for this ride called life. Joy has nothing to do with your circumstances. Your lights may be off. You may not have a car. You may not be in the loving relationship. Your health may not be at its best. You may not be at the best job. You may not, look the way you want to look or feel the way you want to look. You may not have enough friends in your life. Business may be in a slump, but you can still have joy. I've got so many people in my life that are living examples, living testimonies of what it is to have joy in spite of their circumstances. They have been wonderful angels and teachers and examples to me of what real suffering is, that they still get up anyway. They keep pressing anyway. And as I began to investigate and study and dissect this thing called suffering, I came to a realization of three things, and that's why I wanted to make this video message for you today, to just share with you the excitement that I have and getting, the clouds just kind of parting and the waves of the water just kind of part, the ocean just opening up to show me the way to the promised land. And that is to understand that suffering is a part of life. But sometimes I believe that if we don't understand these three principles, our suffering is escalated. Our suffering becomes unbearable. Our suffering begins to consume us. And those three principles are, first of all, we crave things. We live in a very material world, a very media-driven world, a very image-conscious world, a world where there's so many stimulants all around us. A new car, a new house, new clothes, new shoes, a better body. There's so much out there dangling in front of us to get more, do more, be more. And when we can't have those things and we're craving them and we don't get them, we suffer. We crave. Not only things externally, but internally. We crave to be loved. We crave to be affirmed. We crave for that promotion. We crave things. We crave food. We crave all types of stimulation, a new adventure, a new relationship, a new opportunity. Something's always got to be happening. We're afraid of the stillness. We're afraid to just be quiet. We're afraid for life just to allow the seasons to have their cycle and their turn. Life is about constant change, and when we're craving and going against the rhythm of life, we cause ourselves to suffer. When we're craving for things to make us feel more complete, more beautiful, more successful, more desirable, or just to get another high, not just a high from a chemical, but just an emotional high, and we don't get that, we suffer. People go from relationship to relationship to relationship because they want that high again. They don't understand that love is not about just being waking up happy and in love and lustful every day. And so when they don't get that high, they just go into another relationship. People get bored easily. People want to constantly be stimulated and have their ego stroked. And when that ego is not stroked and they're craving that, they suffer. The second principle that I find that is a root for suffering is not only craving things, craving for the flesh and craving for emotional stroking and ego stroking. It's clinging, holding on to things, not having the ability or the courage or the faith and the trust in God and life to just let go. I'm speaking to myself. As a mother, it was very difficult. It continues to be a challenge, but I'm getting better. Letting go of the fact that motherhood for me has changed. It has evolved. And I've had to let go of my sons. I've had to let go of the third thing, which is control. When you can't control people or control circumstances, you're going to suffer. But let's get back to that clinging. When we want to hold on to our past, when we want to hold on to what we believe, when we want to hold on to our anger, when we want to hold on to our expectations of what we think people should do or how we think life should unfold, when we want to hold on to old belief systems and habits that we have outgrown, we've realized now they're not working for us, it's not the truth, it's not valid, we've outgrown that, we've evolved, but yet we cling to old things. We are closed to a new flow of life. We're closed to God. We're closed to possibilities. Clinging, holding on. You know, as a woman now in my 6th decade, I've had to let go of some of the things I could do in my youth. I've had to open myself up to the reality that life is moving on. And, you know, I want to talk about the old days and the things I used to do. And it's fun to do that. But when you begin to obsess on that, that means you're holding on. You're clinging too tight. You're not able to let your children, your spouse, your friends, your church, your community, your job to unfold in its natural rhythm. I invite you today to stop clinging and to let go and to open up to life, the flow of life. I invite you today to let go of the cravings that cause you to suffer. I invite you today to let go of controlling, wanting to control how things unfold in life. You know, in our humanness, we want to control the people. We want people to love us. We want people to like us. We want people to act the way we want them to act. We don't like long lines. We don't like the weather to change. We don't want our body to change. We expect people to do what we want them to do when we want them to do it. We want to control. And this causes great suffering. You know, I had to really come to that realization, and it brought me so much peace when I learned to stop clinging and craving and wanting to control. You can't control people. You can't make people love you. You can't make people do what they don't want to do. And if you really want to have peace, why don't you let go of the craving, the clinging, and wanting to control other people and circumstances. This is how abuse happens. This is how manipulation happens. This is how lies happen. This is how divorce happens. This is how dysfunction happens when people can't get other people to act the way they want them to act, to do what they want them to do. If you find yourself in that type of a toxic relationship, you want to kind of distance yourself and you want to have some clear boundaries so that people are not trying to control you. And if you recognize that you are doing the controlling, you want to wake up. You want to evolve. You want to be transformed by the renewing of your mind. I'm Jewel Diamond Taylor, and I'm so grateful for this time of conversation with you, just to share a moment of clarity that I've had. It came to me in the counseling that I do as a one-on-one